righty, good afternoon, and thank you for coming down. I'll just get right to the point. Everybody wants to know what the big announcement is, and the big announcement is that earlier this morning I sent the governor and the Secretary of State my letter announcing my retirement and also resignation as of January 31, 2024. So it was 34 years ago in December of '89. I came to this office as the Chief Deputy Supervisor for Betty Carter, the then Supervisor of Elections. And it's hard to believe 34 years have gone by since then. So as I got reelected in the year 2000, I anticipated that I probably would not finish this term because there were projects that needed to be accomplished, and the things that I wanted to get done were such things as the 2022 census, the redistricting of the county under the census. Then as we moved through the 22 election, we began to know things that needed to be done in preparation for the 24 election. So in 2023, our objective has been to do everything we could to prepare ourselves for the 2024 3 countywide elections. And so some of the things that we need to accomplish have been accomplished. The Board of County Commissioners got us the new voting system, the upgrade to our current system, and we actually got a chance to test it with the first election for the House District 35 primary, and then we'll be doing it again on January 16th for the general election for House District 35. Also, the Board of County Commissioners just recently approved some new precincts because of the growth in Orange County, the growth out in Horizon West and Lake Nona. They approved the map with the new voting precincts. We have been taking and making all the preparations so that when the 2024 election comes. As I look back, you'll be given a timeline of the various achievements that have happened during these 34 years. One of the things they did was they went back and did a count, and since I came as the Chief Deputy, there have been 96 elections that I have administered during my tenure as the Supervisor of Elections, and that includes the one that will happen on January 16th for House District 35. So in that time frame, one of the historic elections obviously was my first one. The first one we did was when then Chairman, or now called Mayor, Linda Chapin, called for a sales tax election and wanted to be done completely by mail. So it was the first county-wide mail ballot election in Florida's history, and the United States Postal Service confirmed that it was the largest mail ballot election at that time. Now we know there are states that do nothing but mail ballot elections on that. Yes, I started with the infamous presidential election of 2000, my first one as supervisor, and the last one will have been the 2020 presidential election in between. So, and in between all that are a lot of other stories that we could go through or you can ask about on it. So, in terms of the staff here, I've been meeting with them all day today to let them know my decision and preparing them. And the good news is when you look back at the staff that we have here at the elections office, they have a total of 425 years of elections administration experience, whether it be done here or have been done in other locations and are now part of our team. And so they are prepared, they know their job, they know what is ahead, and are already looking ahead to those elections, the March presidential preference primary, the primary in August, and then the presidential election in September, or November 5th. So they're very dedicated, they're prepared, they have the tools to do the job, and so I think I'm leaving them very well prepared to face the challenge that is ahead in the coming year. So that's the reason. For me, it'll begin a new chapter in my life. I have joked that I can finally open up my calendar, and when my spouse says, let's go on a trip, I can just say when, where, and let's go. I don't have to say, oh, there's an election this day, and there's a public test this day, and we have to squeeze it in on that. We'll stay here in the Central Florida area. I have 2 grown sons and 2 daughter-in-laws and 4 grandsons, and so we'll be here with them, be able to spend more time with them as the years go ahead. So that was part of the decision, is about more family time. So with that, those are basically the reasons that I made the decision that now's the right time to make this change. Yes, the way the process works is the governor will now make an appointment for somebody to fill in the interim. This November, as I had already announced a year ago, I was not going to seek re-election, so there are already 7 announced candidates, and so the election will determine who the next elected supervisor of elections will be. So let me briefly close it by saying that I want to express my sincere thanks to the citizens and the voters of Orange County for their confidence over the years, and we 7 elections, so it was validation, I think, to the job that we were doing here and providing the services of having good, fair elections here in Orange County. Also, I want to thank those amazing poll workers, the poll workers who work election day to bring democracy forward. And I guess one of the legacies that I will leave behind is what's behind me on the wall, is that I was the one who introduced the concept of adopt a precinct to the election process. It's nothing new. It's obviously adopt a highway. In 1996, after I got elected, we said we would start doing adopt a precinct. First is I wanted corporate America to adopt polling places, and instead a Kiwanis Club convinced me to turn it into a fundraiser for their organization, and that's when it took off. And so we've seen the growth of it. In the 2022 general election, half of the precincts in Orange County were adopted by one of the community groups, and some of them have multiple polling places that they adopt. So these are just some of the many groups that have actually done the adopt a precinct, and those 2 are significant poll workers for us. I also have, in this 34-year span, I have worked with every county mayor from Linda Chapin all the way through to Jerry Demings, and I appreciate all the support that the Board of County Commissioners, the mayors, the commissioners themselves and staff have provided in support. Bottom line is, can't be done without the staff here at the elections office, and we have some very dedicated individuals who are working hard every day to make sure that we're prepared for the next election and meet that challenge, whatever gets thrown at us. And finally, maybe, obviously, I got to thank my family for their support, because they have gone through a lot through this 34 years, but they've stood by me. So there is my wife of 45 years. So the family support. And finally, even you to the media. You all have been very fair to us, to me, in this process, and I appreciate that. So with that, I'll take your questions and go from there.
Why not complete the term?
Well, because of, one, I'm getting old. I'll be 70 years old next year. And it just felt like the right time because we've got the office, got the staff is in play, we got the run up with the House District election, so I think all the pieces are in play, and so it's just time for me to transition to the next part of my career.
How much consideration did you give to hanging on a few more months through the presidential primary in March?
It was, I think, that may have been a consideration until the House District 35 election came up. And so then when we had interesting how long the span was, the state representative resigned in June. We didn't do the primary election until November, and then the general election now being in January. So I think that pushed the timetable out a little longer and probably gave us a little more time to get prepared and the staff ready and the process for the upcoming election. So I think that was probably the reason.
As you leave the profession that you've been a part of for so long, share your thoughts about the fact that there seems to be an increasing groundswell, not just locally but around the country, of people calling the integrity of elections into question.
Yes, that's a big part that has changed. I use the example as I've been talking to other groups about the fact my first presidential election was 2000. But, that election was over with in about 45 days, and then we had 9/11, and this country was healing and coming together. And my last presidential election will be the one in 2020. Are we really even over that election? And then we had the insurrection January 6th. And I think the political chaos is a part of the factor that is leading a lot of administrators to leave the elections process. It's not a key factor here. Mine is more of tenure and timing on it. But the mistrust in the process is really wears down the elections administrators and also wears down the election staff, and also probably causes the lower turnout that we see in the political process because of that.
And that's got to be very disappointing to you.
It is. You would think, particularly when you look at the fact that when I took over in elections in '96, we had 234,000 voters, and now we're up to over 800,000 voters. And you would be thinking the participation to the number, they're up because of the growth, but they're not up nearly what they are. And again, look at our voter registration situation. When you look at Orange County, 42% Democrat, 26% Republican, and the rest are no party affiliation.
What would be your message to the voters about the integrity of the elections and why, in your opinion, they should participate?
Well, the first thing we say is go to the trusted source, and your trusted source is the local elections administrators. And don't trust social media and campaigning things to set your mindset on the election process. The other part, do your homework as it relates to studying the candidates, the issues, and talk to a trusted source about information about the process, and then make your decision based on that. But then the other part is get out and act on it. Don't let messaging dissuade you from going and participating in the process.
I know you mentioned there's candidates who have filed to run for this office. You've got a staff here. We've got elections coming up. Do you have thoughts on who should be appointed or who should not be appointed in the near term? Should it be somebody running for office right now?
Again, I'll leave that up to the governor. That's his decision. I know internally there might be one person might consider it. In the community, I'm sure after today we'll hear from others and maybe from the candidates. So, but I don't have a say in that.
Should it be somebody with In the short term, in the appointment, should it be somebody with experience doing this type of work with, given the timelines that we're working with, or?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say experience because there's only one elections office
There are
in
people who
each
work for you,
county. Huh?
You have people who work for you.
Yeah, well, and there are people working, they have the opportunity. So, again, I think the nice part's going to be is there's a dedicated staff here that will support whoever comes in as the placeholder until the actual election. And then whoever gets elected then will come in and have the same support from the staff, but then we'll also be able to put their focus as the new supervisor.
So if I could re-ask the question another way, as you stand here today saying you're going to retire at the end of January of 2024, can you assure the voters in Orange County and around Central Florida that the elections that they participated in have been fair?
Yes, I think one of the things that we heard, and I was just at our state conference and we heard from speakers, you know, Florida, let's just take Florida. After the 2000 election, they went in and cleaned up the election laws and all. And as we've gone forward, you know, how we've expanded vote by mail, early voting, making the elections process accessible to all people, the stuff that we do with voters with disabilities and all that. So we're now considered the gold standard in Florida. And you look at the last elections, even the presidential of 2020, we were done early and statewide had the totals. So again, it's credit to the process between what the election administrators do, the legislation that was put in play to set the rules for the election. And so other states are now looking to us in terms of, you know, the part that really frustrating is if it happened someplace else, it had to happen here. No, you know, you need to make sure you're checking local information and fact checking and talking to your trusted election source, and that's the supervisor elections office in every county. All right. Well, anything else, let me know. There's some people who I will get a hold of shortly, and we'll be spreading the word to my colleagues at this point until you all put it out there. They haven't heard the news yet. So you get the reaction. So, all right. Thank you so much. And
Enjoy your retirement.
thank you. Thank you. I plan to. Maybe I'll run into you in Subway one day again. So. And Deanne does have the timeline of all the things that many of you have covered over the years. The Orlando ballot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yours. Yeah, but each one a little different.